Coming up in 1/2 hour when KCRA3 reports at 6 o'clock, we'll have much more in our breaking news. A Sacramento area hospital employee who was kidnapped and beaten following police pursuit. A suspect is now in custody. As you get ready to head to the polls on Tuesday, it is good to know about the issues. We'll take a look at where the candidates stand on gay rights. And we'll have some safety tips to make sure your little ones have a happy Halloween. Those stories and much more when KCRA3 reports tonight at 6 o'clock. NBC Nightly News is coming your way next. They'll of course have the latest on preparations for next week's presidential contest, including worries about whether there'll be more turmoil in Florida, the scene of so much turmoil 4 years ago. Also the latest on violence in Iraq. Those stories coming up. We'll see you right back here at 6 for more local news.
Decision 2004, the new bin Laden videotape. The nation's threat level will stay where it is, but police have been warned and security takes its place at the center of the campaign. The war in Iraq, the worst day in months. 8 U.S. Marines killed near Fallujah, and a close reminder of the random violence. Making your vote count tonight, the long lines and the complaints already piling up, while Florida's governor tells NBC News the system will work. And why Halloween isn't just for kids anymore.
From NBC News World Headquarters on Democracy Plaza in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. We are now just 3 days away from Election Day, and by all accounts, the nation remains sharply divided right down the middle. And for the second straight day, events overseas now threaten to play a tricky role in the election. Today, it was the awful news that 8 U.S. Marines had been killed in Iraq. Last night, it was the sight of Osama bin Laden, a taunting message for all Americans delivered via videotape. And now, just over 50 hours before Election Day starts here on the East Coast, the Bush administration, while not hiking the alert level, has sent a warning out to municipalities. We begin here tonight with the very latest from NBC News Pentagon correspondent Jim Miklaszewski.
After the release of this new video from Osama bin Laden and an earlier video from an unidentified man suspected of ties to al-Qaeda.
Allah willing, the streets of America shall run red with blood.
The Bush administration sent out a warning the tapes could be a signal for an attack in the U.S. An FBI bulletin to state and local lawmen says the tapes are clearly intended to influence and instill fear in the American people and advises extra vigilance leading up to the elections. Despite the warnings, Homeland Security Chief Tom Ridge said today there's no evidence of any possible terrorist attacks tied to next week's elections.
There is no specific intelligence that targets Election Day, polling places, and the like. The threat has always been directed to the American homeland, and we need to understand that.
But the potential threat is not considered serious enough to raise the overall terror threat level now at elevated. Nevertheless, Ridge has ordered increased Coast Guard patrols, tightened inspection of cargo on ships and planes, and rerouting of trucks loaded with hazardous material through cities. Plans already in the works, but now accelerated. Although the increased security steps are based in part on the two tapes, U.S. intelligence officials say there are no specific threats in either tape. But Secretary Ridge denied these new warnings are politically motivated in an effort to boost the president's campaign on national security.
It's driven by the intelligence. It's driven by the information.
U.S. intelligence officials continue to analyze this latest video of bin Laden. Terror experts say, however, the timing of this tape is clearly no coincidence.
It's really designed to permit him to claim credit for Bush's defeat if he goes down on Tuesday at the polls.
And if nothing else, it's elevated the security issue once again late in the campaign. Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the Pentagon.
Now to the effect of all of this on what appears again to be a dead-even race for president. The polling and barnstorming will stop soon, but not yet. There are miles to go and votes to get from now until Election Day, and now with security looming large as an issue. We have 2 reports tonight, beginning with NBC's Nora O'Donnell.
this morning, the president broke from campaigning to convene a video teleconference with his Homeland Security officials. Advisors say the president directed them to take all necessary action to deal with the new message from Osama bin Laden. It was a return to the statesman-like image of commander-in-chief, following partisan sniping with Senator Kerry late Friday, each accusing the other of exploiting the tape for political gain. Today, Mr. Bush on Cleveland's NBC station.
The enemy of our country is not going to determine the fate of this election.
There was no direct reference to the tape at campaign rallies today, only his standard lines about the choice in this election.
The outcome of this election will set the direction of the war against terror. The most solemn duty of the American president is to protect the American people.
For the president's advisors, discussing the political impact of Osama bin Laden's reemergence is delicate. But Karl Rove, his closest advisor, says if he were on Kerry's team, he would not want this to come down to the war on terror. The vice president today in Pennsylvania.
It's a reminder that we are engaged in a global war on terror. This is a conflict we did not choose, but it is one that we will win.
But some experts believe it's too soon to know how this will affect the outcome.
In an election this close, the slightest breeze can have an electoral mandate. And from my point of view, this is a breeze. We don't know who it's going to help and who it's going to hurt.
In the final 3 days, Mr. Bush embarks on a frenzied blitz of campaigning, 15 rallies in 9 states, and he may return to more on Election Day. And while no one may know until the election what the political impact of bin Laden's message will be, voters will likely take the fresh image of the 9/11 mastermind to the polls on Tuesday. Nora O'Donnell, NBC News, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I'm Carl Quintanilla with the Kerry campaign. In Wisconsin today, John Kerry plowing ahead, leaving out any mention of the bin Laden tape, but sticking to his attack over the White House's failure to catch the terrorist.
It was wrong to outsource the job of capturing them to Afghan warlords who a week earlier were fighting against us, instead of using the best trained troops in the world who wanted to avenge America for what happened in New York and Pennsylvania and in Washington.
With less than 72 hours to campaign, Kerry officials say they can't afford to let bin Laden dictate their closing strategy. In Iowa, Kerry delivered his newly simplified stump speech, trusting supporters like Dewey Bolter not to let bin Laden shake their confidence.
Wouldn't have any effect on me because I'm so pro-Kerry and anti-Bush.
I think Senator Kerry's well advised to tread very lightly on this bin Laden tape. There's a lot more danger in him saying too much or going too far than in saying too little.
Democrats say bin Laden's effect may be diminished by 2 things: the high percentage of people who've already voted and the now all-consuming effort to get others to vote on Tuesday. Today, John Edwards took that effort to Ohio, where the race is still tight, while Kerry met with canvassers in Wisconsin, 2 of 3 key states, along with Michigan, where Kerry's now scheduled to devote the final 24 hours. Kerry's political advisors admit those races are close enough that bin Laden's videotape could be a factor. And had it come weeks ago, they add, they'd be more worried. For now, a back-to-basics strategy is what will have to carry them to the end.
Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Carl Quintanilla, NBC News, Des Moines, Iowa.
And now to the situation in Iraq, where those 8 U.S. Marines died earlier today, and where in the report you're about to see there was another vivid reminder captured on camera of how random the violence there now is. Here is NBC's Jim Maceda.
As U.S. Marines probed the defenses of up to 5,000 insurgents holding Fallujah, 8 Marines were killed and at least 9 wounded when a suicide car bomb blew up near their patrol, the heaviest single-day toll in over 6 months. But the main objective, al-Qaeda's man in Iraq, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, may have already fled the city, according to a Marine intelligence official. Meanwhile, elsewhere, insurgents kept up their own pressure. There was chaos outside the Baghdad offices of Al Arabiya TV after a car bomb killed at least 7 and wounded 16, mostly Al Arabiya employees. Later, on its website, an Islamist group called 1920 Brigades claimed responsibility for the attack, calling the Saudi-owned TV network a, quote, band of Americanized spies. While in 2 separate attacks, militants ambushed and set fire to U.S. military supply trucks in the north near Mosul and again in Baghdad, killing 2 Iraqi drivers. And tonight in the capital, more insurgent mortars fell near the U.S. mission and Iraqi government headquarters known as the Green Zone. Captured on live TV as this reporter spoke to the Canadian CBC network.
And you're seeing right behind me a rocket or mortar attack.
Earlier, Iraqi police fired wildly at civilian cars in an area south of Baghdad known for insurgent ambushes, killing at least 18 Iraqis. There was a car carrying a coffin and mourners. They killed everyone, says this eyewitness. The incident raised troubling questions about the discipline and readiness of Iraqi police as elections pegged for January approach.
The Iraqi police was trained to arrest criminals. It is not prepared or trained to fight terrorism.
Sources say an all-out assault on Fallujah is no more than days away, probably after the U.S. presidential elections. But already insurgents warn they will strike mercilessly across Iraq if any Iraqi city is attacked. Jim Masadam, NBC News, Baghdad.
And we have an update tonight on the health of Yasser Arafat, the only leader a generation of Palestinians has ever known. He last week left his Ramallah compound for the first time in several years and was flown to Paris for diagnosis. While the tests on him continue, doctors today dismissed reports that he's suffering from dementia and leukemia. When NBC Nightly News continues this Saturday night, making your vote count. In depth tonight, the long lines in Florida and the questions about voting already, what the governor there has to say coming up. And later, something new on the street where you live this Halloween night.
Surviving cancer is still the biggest victory of my life. And I did it with the help of 3 Bristol-Myers Squibb medicines.
Today, Bristol-Myers Squibb researchers are fighting our most serious diseases. Their life-saving medicines have turned many cancer patients into cancer survivors. Medicines for AIDS, heart disease, and serious mental illness reflect their commitment to research and to extending and enhancing human life.
I'm living proof of that. Hope, triumph, and the miracle of medicine. Bristol-Myers Squibb Company.
In the mood for something different? How about Levitra? Ask your doctor if Levitra's right for you. It's the best way to experience that difference.
Ask about a free sample. Ask about Levitra. Levitra, when it counts.
When you can hold this many cubic feet back here, it's a good thing you can hold 10 more feet up here. The new GMC Sierra 1500 Crew Cab 4x4. Professional grade engineering. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to. Get $5,000 total cash back on a new 2004 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab with GMAC financing. Upgrade to professional grade during Truck Fest. See the pros at your local GMC dealers.
Brian Williams, anchor and reporter for The Next Generation, covering the stories you care about.
So you've noticed California?
Yeah.
I'll
come
out here anytime they want me to.
Brian Williams, NBC Nightly News and KCRA 3 reports, where the news comes first.
Pain. It's hard to work, hard to think. No time for ordinary drops. End your sore throat emergency fast with the strongest Cepacol lozenges ever. Cepacol numbs sore throat pain fast with Menthocaine action. Menthocaine, 2 anesthetics for fast relief. So effective it's #1 in hospitals.
The pain is gone.
And try new Cepacol dual action spray. Numbs pain on contact, coats your throat for comfort. Cepacol ends your sore throat emergency.
Let's face it, there are a lot of bad drivers out there. You can't change their driving, but you can learn to avoid them. That's why at Liberty Mutual, we teach something called decision driving and offer the latest auto safety advice to keep the road safer and keep premiums down.
Liberty Mutual. It's more than insurance. It's insurance in action.
Looks like we've got some work to do.
NBC News in depth tonight. Battleground Florida. The effort to try to make sure, even in this evenly divided nation, that we do not see a repeat of the mess of the year 2000, especially in Florida. NBC's John Siegenthaler is in the state capital, Tallahassee. John, good evening.
Good evening to you, Brian. 4 years ago, of course, this was ground zero in the battle for the White House. So I recently sat down with Governor Jeb Bush to talk about the intense scrutiny this state is under this time around. The line stretched out the front door and around the block in Tallahassee, a familiar scene all over Florida today. Voters hoping that this time there is no election crisis in their state, a sentiment shared by their governor, Jeb Bush. H.W. Bush. Campaigning for his brother, along with his father, in Palm Beach yesterday. 27 critical electoral votes are up for grabs in a state that has already had its share of crises this year. 4 hurricanes.
Well, it stalled the campaign. I asked the president, and he quickly agreed that it shouldn't be campaigning while we were focusing on the relief efforts.
The governor got high approval ratings for his leadership during the storms, which could help the president's campaign. Even so, Democrats are amassing their own huge effort to win the hearts and minds of Florida voters.
Well, you say the Democrats are sending people into the state, that they're carpetbaggers here to agitate and litigate. What do you mean?
Just what I said. It's clear that there is an organized effort to try to create doubt and uncertainty to set up a post-election brouhaha, where it's all lawyered up, you know, and every decision goes to the courts.
Political analysts say both parties will be fighting for every vote.
The Republicans are concerned about fraudulent signatures and fraudulent registration, and my guess is they're going to be going to areas where they suspect more of that.
The governor concedes Election Day won't be all smooth sailing.
It won't work perfectly, but it's going to work excellently, and it's going to work. The problems will be way on the margins, and people's right to vote will be protected, and their vote will be counted.
Come Tuesday, the governor hopes his state stays out of the spotlight.
In 2000, it was Florida, Florida, Florida. Do you hope this time it's Ohio, Ohio, Ohio?
I hope there's no state, to be honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't. I love my state, and I don't want it to happen here again, but gosh, I wouldn't even want that on my enemy.
Early voting continues in Florida right up until Tuesday. Brian?
John Siegenthaler in Tallahassee tonight. John, thanks. And there are early voting troubles being reported already at several locations across the country. On election night, NBC's Chip Reed will be tracking it all as part of our initiative called Making Your Vote Count. And Chip is with us across the plaza here tonight with a preview. Chip, good evening.
Well, good evening, Brian. You know, every day there are new developments on the Making Your Vote Count front. Today's hot spots are 3 battleground states: Pennsylvania, Ohio, and, of course, Florida. In Broward County, Florida, election officials are already working overtime, sending thousands of absentee ballots by emergency overnight delivery after early batches were delayed or perhaps lost in the mail. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, voters who say they registered to vote weeks ago are flooding the NBC voter alert line with complaints that they still haven't received confirmation.
I'm calling to see if I'm registered to vote. I haven't received anything back verifying that. I filled out the registration application in the middle of September.
I haven't received the form or any information, where to go, what to do.
A high volume of calls is also coming in from frustrated voters in Ohio. Many say they haven't received registration cards. Others are still waiting for absentee ballots. And again, that NBC voter alert line is 1-866-MY-VOTE-1. That line has only been in operation for about a week now, and it's already received just a little bit under 50,000 calls. Brian?
NBC's Chip Reed here in the plaza with us tonight. Thanks. And this program note, tomorrow morning on Meet the Press from here in Democracy Plaza in New York, Tim Russert talks with former New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani and former Nebraska Senator and 9/11 Commission member Bob Kerrey. When we come back here tonight, why it matters to the candidates if you're married or single.
Decision to make in 27 short days.
Hey guys, look!
Heartburn on rye.
We're working through lunch.
Wait, that's more than heartburn.
You're right, that pressure and bloating is gas.
And we don't treat gas, not even me.
I do. This is a job for
Maalox Max.
fast heartburn plus gas relief in a soothing liquid. That's Maalox Max.
Max, glad you're working the lunch shift.
I work anytime. Maalox Max. When you have it all, treat it all.
What I seek every single day is perfection.
I want you to guess how many checks we process each day. Try more than 40 million, more than any other company in America. But what's truly impressive is the accuracy with which we take care of them. I'm Lance Drummond, I'm a banker, and I'm proud to be part of Bank of America. If you weren't a perfectionist, you couldn't do this job. One error in a million is simply unacceptable. So at Bank of America, we customize our own equipment. We engineer our own software, create our own quality control systems. To us, this is like an assembly line that is mission critical, meaning 0 defects. This isn't about processing nearly 11 billion checks a year flawlessly. It's a matter of accurately handling one single check and then repeating it 11 billion times.
Bank of America, higher standards.
What makes CVS Pharmacy the leading drugstore in America? With prescriptions ready when promised, we've done away with waiting. CVS Pharmacy. Expect something extra.
We know that Senecot, with its natural vegetable laxative ingredient, has been hard to find. Well, your wait is over. Senecot, with the laxative ingredient proven to be effective in 50 clinical studies, now in stores everywhere.
A Dateline election special, Decision 2004, The Final Days. Tom Brokaw with Bush and Kerry for one-on-one interviews. Sunday, 7/6 Central on NBC.
It used to be the gender gap that marked a sharp difference in the way women and men vote. Now, in this close presidential race, the candidates face a new challenge in trying to draw in women voters. It's a new dynamic the political pros call the marriage gap. Here is NBC's Peter Alexander.
Amy Tatnall hasn't voted in 16 years. Too busy, she says, at work.
Hi, sweetie pie.
And is a single parent to daughter Sarah.
Time is a big issue. There's a lot of things to do.
But it's women like her being pursued in the closing days of this campaign. In salons, cosmetic counters, seen as critical in a close race. Women are obviously a hotly contested demographic, but what's less obvious is that whether they're single or whether they're married is a big determinant in how they'll vote. The latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll taken this month shows unmarried women favor Senator Kerry by 16 percentage points, while married women favor the president by 7. Why the difference? While married women worry about security and the war in Iraq, issues familiar to Republicans, unmarried women are more likely to worry about health care, the economy, and education, Democratic strengths. Tatnall is typical of many single moms. A personal shopper at an Ohio Sam's Club makes $15,000 a year with no health care. She's now a Kerry supporter.
I would like to be able to not live paycheck to paycheck and to be able to put some money away.
It's women like Tatnall the Kerry campaign is counting on.
The higher percentage of single women vote, the better chance the Democrats have.
But Republicans are hopeful that national security will trump social issues important to women that are usually Democratic turf.
First and foremost, vote.
At a Bush event in Pennsylvania this month, married women like Dr. Maria Liney preaching the party line to singles.
You can be in different places in your life and still want the same things for your family and for yourself.
Thank you all for coming. And what's clear is that Republicans are not giving up on single women.
What many single women are saying to themselves, predominantly in the last couple of election cycles, is, I am a stakeholder.
With few undecideds left, single women a tempting target for both parties in the campaign's final days.
It's still raining outside, says Grandma.
Peter Alexander, NBC News, New York.
Father gives up all hope.
It is that time tonight for the once-a-year daylight saving time reminder. Time to set the clocks back 1 hour at bedtime this evening. The official switchover comes at 2 a.m. In Boston today, while the world champion Red Sox are still getting used to that title, they treated their faithful to a parade they had waited for 86 years. Some 3 million baseball fans took to the streets and graced the Charles River. Without incident, they honored the team that finally reversed the curse and won its first World Series since 1918. And when we come back here in New York, why tomorrow night won't be your father's Halloween anymore.
millions of us are hospitalized with heart-related chest pain or a certain type of heart attack, what doctors call ACS. The cause? For most, it was blood platelets that formed clots, which blocked blood from getting to the heart. Think aspirin and other heart medications alone are enough? Plavix could help make a difference. So ask your doctor about adding Plavix. Taken with aspirin and your current treatment, Plavix goes beyond what you're taking to help raise protection against heart attack or stroke. Plavix and your other medications work in different ways. Plavix taken with aspirin plays its own role in keeping blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots, which helps keep blood flowing.
If you have a medical condition that causes bleeding, such as a stomach ulcer, you shouldn't use Plavix. The risk of bleeding may increase with Plavix and when you take Plavix with certain other medicines, including aspirin. Review your medicines with your doctor to minimize this risk. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur.
Add more protection against heart attack or stroke with Plavix.
What did the doctor say?
I told him my arthritis was making my hands hurt more and more. He said I should take a leave.
Doctors know Aleve has the strength to relieve arthritis pain for up to 12 hours.
That Aleve's really working.
All day long.
Aleve.
Excuse me, do you believe your brokerage firm's advice is objective?
Sure. Their objective is to sell me something.
Well, he only calls me when he's got something to sell.
I made it my objective to do my own investing. So I switched to TD Waterhouse. Best move I ever made.
TD Waterhouse brings together free, independent research and third-party reports so you can make your own objective decisions. You can do this. Switch today to TD Waterhouse, the alternative to higher-priced brokers.
Johnson, what are you doing here? Didn't I fire you? Didn't I fire you yesterday? Haven't I fired you every day this week?
Kellogg's Raisin Bran Crunch with tasty raisins, crunchy flakes, and honey granola clusters.
I want you out.
It's the Raisin Bran with crunch. Sounds good.
Sunday, Decision 2004, the final stretch. Former Senator Bob Kerrey and former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani weigh in from Democracy Plaza, only on Meet the Press.
Tomorrow night, those knocks on the front door begin across the country, followed by the inevitable competition among the younger ones who go home to compare their loot after a night of trick-or-treating. But as NBC's Jennifer Caggiolo reports tonight, they may find some competition out there this year.
No traditional ghosts and goblins at this costume ball, a charity event for New York Central Park where mom and dad don't have to act their age. Treats here decidedly adult.
Oh, it's for grown-ups.
Costumes expensive, and the sense of humor sophisticated.
Trick-or-treating may be for kids, but Halloween isn't just for kids anymore. Today it's the elaborate costumes and swanky parties like this one that are the driving force behind what's become a $3 billion a year industry.
Retail sales expert Scott Krugman.
People think of Halloween, they think of trick-or-treating. There's so much more to it. Adults are dressing up in costumes, they're throwing parties, and they're decorating their homes.
This year, while most of the $3 billion spent will still go towards candy and costumes, now the adults are spending a significant portion on themselves. Nearly 70% of 18 to 34-year-olds celebrate, and more than half will dress up and throw a party, according to the National Retail Federation. In Key West, Florida, Halloween festivities that last 10 days are geared toward adults. And amusement parks like NBC's Universal Studios offer up more mature scares at their 7 haunted houses. A trend sociologist Richard Lockman says falls in line with a changing Halloween culture.
For the adults, this is all about the costume. This is an opportunity to present themselves in a way that they usually don't.
Now, with the adult spending boost and retailers meeting those demands, Halloween's become the second biggest decorating